Welcome to How to Start Collecting Data for your CED grant. This presentation will provide general information about the Performance Progress Report and will provide an overview of the forms and indicators included in the Performance Progress Report, which you will collect data on throughout your CED grant. All CED grantees are expected to track data on jobs and businesses throughout the course of their projects and report progress through the Performance Progress Report, also known as the PPR. The PPR is due semi-annually, and it is submitted online through the Online Data Collection System, also known as OLDC. Data collection is important because it provides the opportunity for both program-level monitoring and analysis, as well as grantee-level monitoring. It also provides grantees with a way to track their progress over the course of their grant. Specifically, at the program level, this data provides Congress and other stakeholders with quantitative and qualitative evidence demonstrating the value of the CED program, identifies the areas where grantees are most successful, and contributes to future decisions on types of projects to fund. At the grantee level, this data keeps program specialists informed about grantee accomplishments and challenges, and helps program specialists identify grantee support needs. Grantees use OLDC to submit PPRs semi-annually. As a reminder, you access OLDC through the Grant Solutions login portal. If you have not yet received access to your grant in OLDC, please email ocsregistrar@icf.com. For more information on Grant Solutions and OLDC, please view the Systems for Grant Administration module of the CED Grantee Orientation. The PPR includes 3 forms. Form A collects quantitative data and is the most in-depth. Form B collects qualitative data, and Form E collects financial data. The PPR is completed and submitted through the online system twice yearly, in April and October. The 6-month reporting periods are from October 1st to March 31st, and from April 1st to September 30th. First time you will report will cover the reporting period from October 1st to March 31st, the first 6 months of your project. For the reporting period ending on March 31st, the online reporting system opens the 1st of April, and you will have 1 month to complete and submit your report. Although you only report twice a year, it is important to track data on an ongoing basis so that it is easier to submit your report in April and October. Form A covers performance measures and is the most detailed of the forms. On this form, you will be reporting quantitative data about your project. Form A is set up like a grid. Each row is a different indicator for which you'll need to collect and report data. There are 7 columns. The first 3 columns tell you what information to fill out in that row. The first column is the indicator number. Indicators are numbered 1 through 30, plus a letter code for the data type. B for business creation, J for job creation, E for employment, and F for funding. Column 2 is objective, or goal. It describes the general goal of a particular group of indicators. Column 3 is the indicator, or the question you'll be answering. Next 2 columns are pre-populated and are not editable, but you should check them. Column 4 is the data from your last PPR. If this is your first PPR, it will be blank. Column 5 is the project target. This is listed for some key metrics and is what you said in your grant application that you do. You will fill out the final 2 columns. Column 6 is actual to date. It is the answer to the question, so how many positions you created, how many businesses you created, etc. It is a cumulative count for the indicator, so it's for the whole grant, not just the last period. Note that you can't submit your report if you leave any fields in this column blank. Column 7 is the explanation field. The explanation you enter here should be short. Form B gives you the opportunity to add more details. Now we will go through each column. Indicators are organized by these objectives, which are listed in column 2, and each indicator has a unique indicator number, which is listed in column 1. Not all objectives apply to every project. For instance, some grantees will be expanding a business rather than creating new businesses. For every objective, there is a set of indicators. For example, the Create New Businesses objective includes all questions related to business creation. Total businesses created, how many of those businesses were created at least 12 months ago, and how many of those businesses lasted at least 12 months. The baseline column displays the data that was entered in your previous PPR. This column is automatically populated and is not editable. This column and the data in it provide the ability to compare data from 6 months ago with new data, the progress that has been made. This column will be 0 for your first PPR. Data for the 6 indicator numbers listed here are pre-populated into the report form with data from your grant application. No other indicators will have data in the project target column. Be sure to check them. If something doesn't look right, include it in the explanation column and also email ocsregistrar@icf.com to let us know. The actual to date column is where you enter data on everything you have accomplished so far in the grant. The data you report each time should be cumulative from the beginning of the grant. We will now go over the indicators within each category. However, we are skipping a few more complicated ones that we will return to later in the presentation. Form A of the PPR consists of 30 indicators, which are broken out into 4 categories: businesses created or expanded, positions created, employees employed in those positions, and funds leveraged. Remember, the objective of the CED program is to create jobs for individuals with low income. Therefore, all indicators except for one collect data on individuals with low income. This is the structure of information you will track on the businesses, positions, and employees. It is helpful to think of these indicators as a pyramid. For the purposes of collecting and reporting data for your CED grant, you need a business to have positions, and you need positions to have employees. So, a business does not count as created or expanded until you have at least one new position created. You can't have a business without someone working in it. And remember that you can't have employees unless they are working in a position that you created. For these sets of indicators, you will be asked to specify certain characteristics. That's why, while you are only tracking a few things, businesses, positions, employees, and leverage, there are 30 indicators in Form A of the PPR. For businesses, you will be asked to enter whether a business is new or expanded. You also need to know when it opened or was expanded and closed, if applicable, to know how long it has existed. For positions, you need to know when the position was created and ended, if applicable, to track sustainability, the benefits associated with it, and whether it is full-time or part-time. For employees, you are looking at the individuals filling the positions you created. So we want to know some characteristics of the employees, including, were they a TANF recipient? Do they qualify as low income? Did they receive job training or certification for the newly created position? What was their starting hourly wage? How long have they worked there? Did they get a promotion? Did they get a raise? For leverage, you need to specify the source of the leverage: government, private, loans, or other. Indicator A01B tracks new businesses created, and A04 tracks businesses expanded. Enter 0 if the indicator does not apply to your project. Indicator A05 is the only indicator that collects information about part-time positions. Everything else deals with full-time. Indicator A06 collects information on how many full-time positions have ever been created over the course of your project to date. Be sure to list positions even if they do not exist anymore, so this number will always increase, never go down. Note there is also A00J. This indicator captures all full-time positions created for both low-income and non-low-income individuals. This is the only indicator in the PPR that deals with non-low-income individuals. For the rest, you will be tracking low-income individuals, as that is the objective of your grant. There are 4 benefits questions related to the positions you report creating in A06J: healthcare benefits, sick leave, retirement benefits, profit sharing. All are a subset of the total full-time positions created, so the number for each cannot be higher than the total number of positions you've created. They are not mutually exclusive. If a position has 2 benefits, healthcare benefits and sick leave, count that position for both A09J and A10J. Enter 0 if the positions being created do not offer benefits. Indicators A13E through A15E, with the objective prepare low-income individuals for employment, relate to training. Training is not the objective of the grant, but grant funds can be used for limited training for the specific jobs created with the grant. The next set of indicators tracks employees who fill the positions created. They ask only about people hired in full-time positions. You report part-time positions once in A05J, and then don't deal with them for the rest of Form A. Indicator A16E is the total low-income individuals ever hired into any position created with grant funds. Indicator A17E is the number of those reported in A16E who are TANF recipients. It's a subset, so it can't be higher than the number of individuals reported in A16E. Indicators A18E and A19E ask about starting wages for the low-income individuals hired. A18E averages all starting wages. A19E averages only wages for TANF recipients. Indicator A20E is the total number of people who have been promoted. Indicator A21E is the total number of people who received raises. A20E and A21E cannot exceed the total number of people hired. The final set of indicators deals with funding. Indicators A26F through A30F ask about leveraging funding in addition to your OCS funds. If you have no leveraging to report for your grant, enter 0. Indicators A27F through A30F are subcategories of the total amount leveraged, A26F. A26F is automatically generated based on the amounts entered in the subcategories. The subcategories are mutually exclusive. Count each only once, even if it could fit into multiple subcategories, since you don't want A26F to double count anything. For loans, always count them as loans, regardless of whether they are private or government. Indicator A30F is a catch-all, but record in the explanation column the source of leverage funds you've captured in this indicator. Now we will return to the indicators we skipped over earlier. They track longevity of businesses and positions created and give credit for ones that last. The key time frame for businesses is 12 months. In order to track longevity, you must provide 2 pieces of information: the number of new businesses created at least 12 months ago, indicator A02B, regardless of whether they still exist, and of those, how many have been operational for at least 12 months, A03B. Asking these 2 questions is necessary to differentiate between businesses that have been operational for 12 months, new businesses that are not yet 12 months old, and businesses created more than 12 months ago, but for whatever reason did not last. Some things to keep in mind are the number of businesses lasting at least 12 months can't be more than the number of businesses created at least 12 months ago. Once a business lasts 12 months, it counts as successful in every report moving forward, even if it closes or ends in the future. And these business questions apply only to business creation, not business expansion. So indicator A01B is all the businesses ever created. Indicator A02B is a subset of those because it only counts the businesses that were created at least 12 months ago. It does not count the ones created within the last 12 months. Indicator A03B is a subset of A02B because it looks at the businesses that were created at least 12 months ago and then only counts the ones that lasted more than 12 months. Positions work the same way as businesses, but the time frame is 6 months instead of 12. Remember, this is all referring to full-time positions only. Indicator A06J captures all of the full-time positions ever created. Indicator A07J is a subset of those because it only counts the full-time positions that were created at least 6 months ago. It does not count the ones created within the last 6 months. Indicator A08J is a subset of A07J because it looks at the full-time positions that were created at least 6 months ago and then only counts the ones that lasted more than 6 months. The last group of indicators deals with individuals' longevity in a position. This helps demonstrate that you have helped individuals retain their jobs. Indicators A22E and A23E capture the number of low-income individuals, including TANF recipients, who have retained jobs for 6 months or more. Indicators A24E and A25E ask about TANF recipients only. Indicator A16E captures all low-income individuals ever hired. A17E is the subset of those who are TANF recipients. Of all low-income individuals, A22E asks for only those who were hired more than 6 months ago, subtracting any who were hired within the last 6 months. A24E is the subset of those who are TANF recipients. Of the low-income individuals hired more than 6 months ago, A23E asks for only those who retain their jobs for more than 6 months, subtracting any who did not retain their jobs for 6 months. A25E is the subset of those who are TANF recipients. Note how the number gets small as we move toward the bottom point of the inverted triangle. The explanation column should be used to briefly explain your answers. You can save longer explanations for Form B. The explanation column must be completed for any indicators where you entered 0. Enter NA if the indicator is not relevant to your program. Enter DNA for data that is not available. You should have all of this information, but if there is a reason you don't, enter DNA and explain why. Also include a brief explanation to describe the data you entered in the actual to date column. So it is recommended that you complete the explanation column to explain data you entered for all indicators, but you must provide an explanation for any indicator for which you reported a 0. This helps program specialists get a much better sense of how your project is doing. The information in this column also helps program specialists identify challenges you may be facing, and they will be much better able to provide you with TA or resources to help address these. Form B is for qualitative information that includes project milestones not captured numerically in Form A, challenges you want your program specialist to be aware of, and further explanations of something that is shown in the numbers on Form A. Form B is where to put longer explanations. Explanations can be as long as needed, but remember that your program specialist must read through it during their review. Columns 1 and 2 are just for reference. Column 3 can be ignored. Column 4 is the only place where an answer should be provided. Unlike Form A, this deals with just the current reporting period. Explanations in Form B should not be cumulative. Like with the explanation column in Form A, this is a place for you to describe in detail the progress of your project. It helps program specialists get a complete sense of your progress and identify any TA needs, if applicable. Part A is entitled Project Information. There are 9 indicators. The fields are required in this section. You complete this information only in your first report, and the data is pre-populated in subsequent reports. Parts B and C are accomplishments and challenges. Each is broken into 13 indicators that are similar to some of the ones reported on in Form A, such as a new business creation, business expansion, and new job creation. Part D is entitled Changes. There are 11 indicators, including planned services, planned timeline, and budget. Form E collects financial data about your project. For each expenditure for your project, enter the activity, the estimated cost, and the total amount expended through the end of the reporting period. The level of detail should be precise but short, not paragraphs. The expenditure should be tracked cumulatively throughout your project. Some projects will have a lot of items, and some won't, depending on the nature of the project. Review the additional materials in the Data Collection and Reporting module of the CED Grantee Orientation for more information about how to submit your reports in OLDC, and for information about the Data Collection tool, which will help you collect and store all of your data.